Right now, somewhere out there, someone is thinking about you in a way they cannot even explain to themselves. They are lying awake at night with your face in their mind, wondering why they cannot let you go, wondering why their heart keeps pulling them back to you even when life has tried so hard to keep you apart. If you have ever felt that strange ache, that quiet knowing deep in your chest that someone out there is missing you too, then this message was written for that exact feeling, and it is landing in front of you today for a reason. Before we go any further, I want you to do something small but powerful. Type "I choose love" in the comments right now. When you type it, you are telling the universe that your heart is open, that you are here, that you are willing to receive what is about to be shared with you. Now let's talk about this person. The one who is meant for you. The one your soul has been waiting on. Right now, this person is feeling something they cannot quite put into words. It is not a small feeling. It is a deep, heavy longing that sits in their chest like a weight they cannot set down. They feel the distance between you, and it is not just physical distance. It is a distance of time, of missed chances, of paths that have not yet crossed the way they were supposed to. And that distance is starting to hurt them in a way they cannot ignore anymore. This is the kind of ache that keeps someone up at night. The kind that makes them stare at their phone wondering if they should reach out. The kind that shows up in quiet moments, in the car, in the shower, right before sleep, when the noise of the day fades and all that is left is the truth of the heart. And the truth is this person feels you. Even without knowing exactly why, even without having the full picture, they feel pulled toward you, like something bigger than logic is nudging them in your direction. You see, some connections are not built by chance. Some connections are placed into our lives long before we ever meet the other person, almost like a seed planted quietly, waiting for the right season to grow. This is one of those connections. It was never random. It was never a coincidence. It is something that was set in motion long before either of you understood what was happening. Dear soul, pause for a moment. Welcome to the Angel's Message for You original channel. Please check the channel name carefully. It's Angel's Message for You. This is our only official channel. Beware of copycat and fake channels. Stay connected to the original source to receive authentic angel messages and true blessings. Before we begin, a heartfelt thank you to Vito and Debbie for sowing a seed for Soulmate through your Ko-Fi super thanks. May this seed return to you multiplied with soulmate blessings, divine protection, love, well-being, and abundance. May the angels guide and watch over you every step of your journey. Thank you for your beautiful support. Let's now continue with divine message. Right now, this person is going through their own kind of awakening. They are starting to see clearly that some parts of their life no longer fit who they are becoming. Old habits, old comfort zones, old relationships that once felt safe now feel too small, too tight, like a coat that no longer fits the way it used to. And instead of staying stuck in what feels familiar, they are starting to loosen their grip on it. They are starting to let go. Letting go is never easy. It takes courage to walk away from what is comfortable, even when that comfort is no longer serving you. It takes real strength to say, "This is not where I am supposed to stay," and to step into the unknown anyway. This person is doing exactly that. Quietly, gently, but surely, they are clearing space in their life. And whether they fully realize it yet or not, they are clearing that space for you. This is not a small shift happening in their life. It is a meaningful one. Every choice they are making right now, every door they are closing, every habit they are releasing, is part of a bigger picture. It is part of them becoming ready to show up fully, ready to be present, ready to finally walk toward the connection that has been waiting patiently in the background of both your lives. I know that from where you are standing, It might feel like nothing is happening. It might feel like you are the only one doing the waiting, the only one putting in the effort, the only one hoping. But I want to gently remind you that waiting does not mean nothing is happening. Sometimes the most important work happens quietly, behind the scenes, where we cannot see it. Just because you cannot see the movement does not mean the movement has stopped. Think about a seed planted in the ground. For weeks, it looks like nothing is happening on the surface. No sprout, no green leaf, nothing visible at all. But underneath the soil, roots are forming. Strength is building. The seed is preparing itself so that when it finally does break through the surface, it can grow strong and steady instead of weak and unready. Your story is doing the same thing right now. What feels like stillness is actually preparation. This person who is meant to walk beside you is being shaped and prepared just like that seed. The challenges they are facing, the choices they are making, the growth they are going through, all of it is preparing them to meet you as the best version of themselves. And in the same way, everything you have gone through, every hard season, every disappointment, every lesson has been preparing you too. Neither of you has been wasting time. You have both been getting ready. I want you to think back for a moment on everything you have walked through to get to this point in your life. The heartbreaks, the moments you doubted yourself, the times you wondered if love was even real, if it was ever going to find you. Every single one of those moments taught you something. Maybe it taught you what you do not want. Maybe it taught you how strong you really are. Maybe it simply taught you patience. Whatever it taught you, none of it was wasted. It was all part of shaping you into exactly who you needed to become for this next chapter of your life. And here is something beautiful to hold on to. Timing that feels slow is not timing that has been forgotten. Nothing about your story has been overlooked. Everything is unfolding exactly the way it needs to, even when it does not look that way from where you are standing. Life has a way of putting things together at just the right moment, not too early and not too late, but exactly when both people are ready to receive what is coming. This person is closer to you than you might think. Not just closer in time, but closer in spirit. As they continue to grow, as they continue to release what no longer fits their life, the space between you both keeps shrinking. What once felt like a huge, impossible gap is slowly becoming something much smaller, much more manageable. Obstacles that once looked like giant mountains are starting to look more like small hills, easy enough to walk over when the moment comes. I want to encourage you to stay soft during this waiting season. I know it can be tempting to build walls around your heart, to protect yourself from getting hurt again. But closing yourself off does not protect you. It only delays what is coming. Staying open, staying hopeful, staying willing to receive love, that is what keeps the door unlocked for this connection to walk through when the time is right. Think about what it will feel like when you finally do meet or reconnect with this person. There will be no need for long explanations. There will be no need to convince yourself or talk yourself into anything. You will simply know. It will feel calm, familiar, like meeting someone you have somehow always known. Even if this is the very first time your paths have crossed in this lifetime, that kind of recognition does not come from logic. It comes from somewhere deeper, somewhere your mind cannot fully explain but your heart understands completely. This connection is not going to be built on surface-level things. It is not going to be about appearances or fleeting excitement that fades after a few weeks. It is going to be steady. It is going to be built on trust, on honesty, on the kind of understanding where you do not always need words to know what the other person is feeling. That kind of connection takes time to build in most relationships, but with this one, it will feel like it was already there, just waiting to be remembered. I also want you to understand something important. This is not just about finding someone to share your life with. It is about finding someone who helps you grow into a better version of yourself. Someone who challenges you in healthy ways, who supports your dreams, who stands beside you instead of standing in your way. This kind of love does not shrink you down to make themselves feel bigger. It lifts you up, and in turn, you lift them up too. There will be hard days even in a connection like this. No real relationship is free of challenges. But the difference is in how you face those challenges. Instead of running from hard moments, you will face them side by side. Instead of giving up at the first sign of difficulty, you will remind each other why you started, why this connection matters, why it is worth working through the tough moments together. That is what makes a bond like this so different from ones that fade quickly. It is built to last because it is built on something solid. I know it can feel discouraging when you look around and see other people finding love while you are still waiting for yours to show up. But please remember, everyone's timeline is different. Just because someone else's story looks a certain way does not mean yours has to look the same or move at the same pace. Your story is your own, written just for you, unfolding at exactly the pace that fits your life and your growth. There is also something important happening inside of you during this waiting time. You are not just sitting around passively hoping for love to arrive. You are healing. You are learning to love yourself in a deeper way. You are building the kind of confidence and peace that will allow you to show up fully in a relationship instead of showing up needy or afraid. This inner work you are doing matters just as much as anything happening on the outside. When two people meet after both have done real inner work, the relationship they build together tends to be so much stronger. There is less baggage weighing things down. There is more understanding, more patience, more grace for each other's imperfections. That is the kind of foundation you are building for yourself right now, even if it does not feel like it in this exact moment. So if today you are feeling tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of wondering when things will change, I want to gently remind you that this feeling is temporary. It is part of the process, not the end of the story. Every person who has ever found deep, lasting love had a season just like this one, a season where they wondered if it would ever happen for them. And then one day it did. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, what your life will feel like once this connection finally comes together. Imagine having someone who checks in on you just because they were thinking about you. Someone who remembers the small things you mentioned once and brings them up again because they were really listening. Someone who makes ordinary days feel a little brighter simply by being present in them. That is what is waiting for you. That is what is being prepared for you. This connection is not meant to complicate your life. It is meant to add peace to it. It is meant to feel like relief, like finally being able to exhale after holding your breath for a long time. It is meant to feel like coming home, even in a relationship that is brand new. That sense of ease, of finally being fully seen and fully accepted, is one of the clearest signs that a connection is meant to last. While you continue waiting, try to notice the small signs around you. Maybe you keep seeing a certain number repeating. Maybe a song keeps playing that reminds you of hope and new beginnings. Maybe you keep having thoughts of someone specific pop into your mind at random times throughout the day. These small nudges are gentle reminders that you are not walking this journey alone, and that something meaningful is quietly moving into place. Dear soul, if today's message has touched your heart, perhaps this is the moment to quietly place your soulmate connection into God's loving hands. When two hearts are being brought together according to His perfect plan, it is beautiful to surround that sacred bond with prayer, faith, and His divine protection. The bond between soulmates is precious, and at times, it can feel vulnerable to negativity, envy, or the evil eye from the world around us. even when no harm is intended. If your heart is calling you to cover this connection with an extra layer of love, faith, and protection, you can sow your seed for your soulmate through Ko-Fi Super Thanks. You'll find the Ko-Fi link in the video description and the pinned comment. This simple act can become a heartfelt expression of your intention, inviting the angels to watch over your soulmate connection, surround it with divine light, and guide it as it continues to grow in the right time and in the right way. If you feel led to do so, thank you from the bottom of my heart. May your kindness return to you multiplied, and may your soulmate journey be filled with peace, hope, and divine guidance. I also want to remind you that this connection is not only about romance. It is about purpose. Some people come into our lives to help us grow into who we are truly meant to become. This person is not just coming to share a life with you. They are coming to walk alongside you as you both grow into fuller, more authentic versions of yourselves. Together, you will support each other's goals, encourage each other's dreams, and help each other heal from things that happened long before you ever met. There is also something powerful about how this kind of love tends to affect the people around you. When two people come together in a healthy, grounded way, it does not just change their own lives, it inspires the people who watch them. Friends and family start to believe a little more in love. They see what real partnership can look like, and it gives them hope for their own lives too. Your story, once it unfolds, may end up encouraging someone else who is still waiting for their own version of this moment. I understand that waiting can feel heavy sometimes. It can feel like every day that passes without this person showing up is another disappointment. But try to shift your focus a little. Instead of only counting the days that have passed, notice the growth that has happened within you during this time. Notice how much stronger you have become. Notice how much more you understand about what you truly want and need in a relationship. None of that growth would have happened if everything had come easily and quickly. Sometimes the delay itself is a gift, even though it rarely feels that way in the moment. A delay gives both people time to heal from past hurts so they do not bring that pain into a brand new relationship. It gives both people time to figure out who they are as individuals so they can show up as whole people instead of looking for someone else to complete them. When two whole people come together, the relationship tends to be far more stable than when two people rely on each other to fill in missing pieces of themselves. I want to encourage you today to keep believing, even on the days when it feels hard to. Keep believing that love is still finding its way to you. Keep believing that the timing, even though it feels slow, is working in your favor rather than against you. Keep believing that this person, whoever they turn out to be, is out there right now becoming ready for you just as you are becoming ready for them. There may be moments where you feel like giving up on the idea altogether. You might think, maybe this just is not meant for me, maybe I am meant to be alone, maybe I am asking for too much. I want to gently push back on those thoughts. Wanting real, healthy, lasting love is not asking for too much. It is a completely normal and human desire. The fact that you want it so deeply is often a sign that it is possible for you, because desires like this rarely show up in our hearts without also carrying the potential to be fulfilled. Think about the qualities you truly want in a partner. Not just surface-level things, but deeper qualities like kindness, honesty, patience, and respect. Hold on to those standards. Do not lower them just because you feel tired of waiting. The right connection will not ask you to shrink your standards. It will meet them and in many ways exceed them because it is built on the same values you have been holding on to this whole time. As this person continues moving through their own season of change and growth, know that they are also learning what it means to show up for someone else in a healthy way. Maybe in the past they struggled with communication or with opening up emotionally, or with being fully present in a relationship. Right now, they are working through those things not because someone is forcing them to, but because something inside of them wants to be better, wants to be ready, wants to be worthy of the kind of connection they can feel coming. This growth does not happen overnight, and it should not have to. Real change takes time, patience, and honesty with oneself. But every bit of effort this person is putting into becoming a better version of themselves is effort that will directly benefit the relationship you two will eventually share. You are not just waiting for a person to show up, you are waiting for a person who has done the work to show up fully and completely. I also want to speak to a fear that might be sitting quietly in the back of your mind. The fear that maybe this will not happen at all. That maybe you are hoping for something that is never going to come true. I understand why that fear shows up sometimes, especially after a long stretch of waiting. But fear is not truth. Fear is simply a feeling that shows up when we care deeply about something and are afraid of being disappointed. It does not mean your hope is misplaced. It simply means you care, and that caring is a beautiful thing, not something to be ashamed of. Instead of feeding that fear, try gently redirecting your thoughts toward trust. Trust does not mean pretending everything is already perfect. It means choosing to believe that things are moving in the right direction, even when you cannot see the full picture yet. Trust is a decision you make again and again, especially on the harder days, and each time you choose it, you are strengthening your own peace of mind. I want you to picture your life a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, with this connection fully present in it. Picture waking up next to someone who chose you, fully and completely, after having gone through their own journey of growth to get there. Picture the conversations you will share, the small inside jokes you will build together, the comfort of knowing someone truly has your back. That future is closer than it might feel right now. Every day that passes is one day closer to that future, not one day further from it. Time is not working against you, it is working with you, quietly moving pieces into place that you cannot fully see yet. Just like a puzzle, individual pieces do not always make sense on their own, but once enough of them come together, the full picture starts to appear. I also want to remind you that healthy love does not require chasing, forcing, or convincing. If something in your life right now feels like a constant struggle, like you are always the one reaching out, always the one trying to prove your worth, that is not this connection I am describing. This connection will feel mutual. It will feel like effort flowing both ways, like two people choosing each other again and again without needing to be begged or convinced. If you are currently in a season where you feel unsure about someone in your life, take that as useful information rather than something to ignore. Real, lasting connections do not usually come with constant confusion or one-sided effort. They come with clarity, even if that clarity takes a little time to fully settle in. Trust what you feel when you are honest with yourself about how someone makes you feel over time, not just in isolated, exciting moments. As you continue on this journey, try to fill your days with things that bring you genuine joy, regardless of your relationship status. Spend time with people who love and support you. Pursue hobbies and interests that make you feel alive. Take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit. Not because doing these things will magically make love appear faster, but because living a full, joyful life makes you more magnetic to the kind of person who is also living a full, joyful life. Like tends to attract like. I also want to gently remind you that comparison is one of the fastest ways to steal your peace during a waiting season. It is easy to scroll through social media and feel like everyone else has it figured out. Everyone else found their person already. Everyone else is living the life you are still hoping for. But you are only seeing a small, curated slice of someone else's story. You do not know their full journey, their struggles behind closed doors, or how long they had to wait for their own version of this moment. Comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20 will only leave you feeling discouraged for no real reason. Focus on your own path instead. Focus on becoming the healthiest, happiest version of yourself that you can be. This is not about becoming perfect, because nobody is perfect, and this connection is not looking for perfection either. It is about becoming aligned, meaning your inner world and outer world start to match up, your actions start to reflect your values, and your daily life starts to feel like it truly belongs to you. There is a quiet kind of strength in choosing to remain hopeful even after disappointment. Maybe you have been let down before. Maybe you gave your heart to someone who was not ready to receive it the way you deserved. That experience does not disqualify you from finding real love in the future. If anything, it prepares you to recognize real love more clearly when it finally arrives, because you now know more clearly what you do not want, which makes it easier to recognize what you do want. I want to remind you again to type that word from earlier if you have not already. Typing ready is a small act, but small acts of intention matter. They remind your own mind that you are choosing to stay open, choosing to stay hopeful, choosing to participate in your own story instead of just waiting passively for something to happen to you. As we come toward the end of this message, I want to leave you with something simple but important to hold on to. You have not been forgotten. You have not been overlooked. What feels like a long wait is simply the time it takes for everything to line up the way it is supposed to. This person, whoever they are, is out there right now, walking their own path, doing their own healing, becoming ready in their own way, just as you are becoming ready in yours. There is no need to rush this. There is no need to force anything before it's time. Trust the process, even the slow parts. Trust that every lesson you have learned, every tear you have shed, every moment of doubt you have pushed through, has all been leading you somewhere good, somewhere steady, somewhere real. When this connection finally does show up fully in your life, you will look back on this waiting season with a completely different perspective. What once felt frustrating will start to make sense. You will see how each step prepared you, how each lesson mattered, how nothing along the way was wasted. And you will be grateful not just for the person who arrives, but for the person you became while you were waiting for them. Until that day comes, keep your heart open. Keep believing that good things are still on their way to you. Keep taking care of yourself. Keep growing. Keep showing up for your own life fully, because that is exactly the energy that will make space for something wonderful to walk right in when the time is finally right. I want to take a moment now to talk about something people often overlook during a waiting season, and that is the idea of divine timing. You have probably heard this phrase before, but I want to break it down in a simple way. Divine timing simply means that things happen when both people, both situations, and both hearts are truly ready, not necessarily when we personally feel ready or when we wish it would happen. It can be frustrating to accept this, especially when your own heart feels fully ready right now. But sometimes the other person in this story needs a little more time to finish healing, to finish letting go of what no longer serves them, or to finish building the version of themselves that can truly meet you where you are. This does not mean anything is wrong with you. It does not mean you are unworthy or unlovable or somehow behind schedule. It simply means the full picture has not finished coming together yet. Think of it like a beautiful meal being prepared in a kitchen. If you pull the dish out of the oven too early, before it has fully cooked, it will not turn out the way it was meant to. But if you are patient and let it finish cooking all the way through, the final result is so much better than if you had rushed it. Relationships that are meant to last often work the same way. The waiting is not wasted. It is part of the process that makes the final result so much sweeter. I also want to gently talk about how to handle the quiet moments of doubt that show up during this season. It is completely normal to have days where you wonder if any of this is real, if love is truly coming, or if you are simply telling yourself a story to feel better. Those doubts do not make you weak or foolish. They make you human. Everyone who has ever waited for something meaningful has experienced doubt along the way. The key is not to let the doubt become the loudest voice in your mind. Instead, gently acknowledge the doubt, thank it for showing up to protect you, and then choose to return your focus back to hope and trust. One helpful practice during this time is to keep a small list, whether written down or simply held in your mind, of moments when things worked out for you in the past, even when you could not see how they would at the time. Maybe there was a job you did not get, only to later realize a better opportunity was waiting just around the corner. Maybe there was a friendship that ended, only for a deeper, healthier friendship to take its place. Life has likely shown you before that things tend to work out, even when the path there looked confusing in the moment. Let those past experiences remind you that this current season of waiting is not any different. I also want to speak directly to the idea of self-worth during this waiting period, because so much of how we experience waiting depends on how we feel about ourselves while we wait. If you spend this season feeling like you are not enough, like something must be wrong with you because love has not arrived yet, that mindset will only add extra pain to an already difficult wait. But if you spend this season reminding yourself of your own value, treating yourself with kindness, and building a life you are proud of regardless of your relationship status, the waiting becomes so much lighter to carry. You are not waiting because you are not good enough. You are not waiting because you did something wrong. You are simply in a season of preparation, and preparation seasons exist for everyone who eventually experiences something truly meaningful. Think about anyone you admire who has a strong, healthy relationship. Chances are, before that relationship came into their life, they went through their own season of waiting, doubting, growing, and healing. Nobody skips this part of the story completely. It is simply part of how meaningful love comes together. I want to also mention the importance of releasing any bitterness that might be quietly building up during this wait. It is easy, after enough disappointment, to start feeling resentful toward love itself, or frustrated with the whole idea of relationships. But holding on to bitterness does not protect your heart. It actually blocks it. Bitterness closes us off from the very thing we are hoping to receive. If you notice bitterness creeping in, try to gently release it, not by pretending you are not frustrated, but by allowing yourself to feel the frustration fully and then consciously choosing to let it go rather than letting it settle into your heart long term. Forgiveness plays an important role here too, especially forgiveness toward yourself. Maybe you look back on past relationships and feel regret about choices you made, people you stayed with too long, or chances you did not take when you should have. Carrying that regret forward does not protect your future. It only weighs down your present. Give yourself permission to forgive your past self for not knowing then what you know now. You were doing the best you could with the understanding you had at the time. That is true for everyone, including you. As you continue moving through this chapter of your life, I also want to encourage you to stay connected to community, whether that is friends, family, or people who share similar values and interests as you. Isolation tends to make waiting feel heavier and longer than it actually is. Staying connected to people who care about you provides support, laughter, and perspective during moments when the wait starts to feel discouraging. Love does not exist in a vacuum, and neither should your life while you wait for it to fully arrive. I also want to remind you that this connection, when it finally does come together, is not going to erase your individuality. You will not lose yourself inside this relationship. Instead, you will grow more fully into who you already are, supported by someone who celebrates your uniqueness rather than asking you to shrink it down. The healthiest relationships allow both people to remain fully themselves while also building something beautiful together. You do not have to choose between being independent and being loved. The right connection allows room for both. Something else worth mentioning is how this connection may show up differently than you expect. Sometimes we build a very specific picture in our minds of exactly how and when love will arrive, and then when it actually shows up, it looks nothing like what we imagined, yet it feels even better than what we had pictured. Try to stay open to the possibility that this connection might surprise you in beautiful ways you have not even considered yet. Rigid expectations can sometimes cause us to overlook something wonderful simply because it does not match the picture we had built in our heads. I want to gently remind you once more that everything happening right now, even the parts that feel slow or uncertain, is part of a much bigger story that is still being written. You are not behind. You are not too late. You have not missed your chance. Your story unfolds on its own timeline, and that timeline is uniquely yours. Comparing it to anyone else's story will only distract you from the beauty quietly forming within your own. Dear soul, before we continue with today's angel message, I'd like to invite you into a small but meaningful act of faith for your soulmate journey. Love is one of heaven's greatest gifts, yet every precious connection can face moments of uncertainty, fear, or unseen negativity. If your heart feels led to place your soulmate connection into God's loving hands, you can sow your seed through Ko-Fi Super Thanks. You'll find the Ko-Fi link in the video description and the pinned comment. As you give, let your seed become a heartfelt intention of hope, inviting the angels to surround you and your soulmate with divine protection, healing, wisdom, and perfect timing. May your connection continue to grow under God's guidance, strengthened by love, peace, and His everlasting light. The Bible reminds us that every act of generous giving is an expression of faith. Proverbs 11 verse 25 says, "A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed." And Acts 20 verse 35 reminds us, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." When we give with a joyful heart, we honor God and place our trust in His perfect plan. If you feel called to sow this seed today, thank you from the bottom of my heart. May God bless your generosity, strengthen your soulmate bond, and fill your life with love, favor, and heavenly peace. Now, let's continue with today's angel message. Take a deep breath right now as you read this. Let your shoulders relax. Let go of any tension you might be holding onto around this topic. You do not have to carry the weight of figuring everything out today. You simply have to keep living, keep growing, keep believing, and keep showing up as the truest version of yourself. Everything else will continue unfolding exactly as it needs to. Before we close, I want to invite you to say this quietly to yourself, either out loud or in your mind. I am open to receiving the love that is meant for me. I trust that my story is unfolding at exactly the right pace. I am worthy of a connection that is honest, kind, and deeply fulfilling. Let those words settle into your heart for a moment. Whatever season you are currently in, whether it feels hopeful or heavy, know that you are not walking through it alone. So many people are walking through similar seasons right alongside you, hoping, healing, and waiting for their own version of this same beautiful moment. You are part of a much larger story of people learning to trust love again, learning to trust timing again, and learning to trust themselves again. Keep your heart soft. Keep your hope alive. Keep choosing to believe that something good is quietly making its way toward you, even on days when it feels far away. Your patience is not being wasted, and your heart has not been forgotten. Good things are still coming, And when they arrive, you will understand why every single moment of this waiting mattered. I also want to talk for a moment about how to protect your peace while you wait, because peace is just as important as hope during this season. Peace does not mean you never feel impatient or discouraged. It simply means you do not let those feelings take over your whole day, your whole mood, or your whole sense of self-worth. When you notice yourself spiraling into worry about whether this connection will ever arrive, try gently pausing. Take a slow breath in, hold it for a moment, and let it out slowly. This small act can help interrupt anxious thoughts and bring you back into the present moment, where everything is actually calm right now, even if your mind is racing ahead into an uncertain future. Journaling can also be a helpful tool during this time. Writing down your thoughts, your hopes, your frustrations, even your doubts, can help release some of the emotional weight you might be carrying silently. You do not need to write anything fancy or perfectly worded. Simply putting your honest feelings onto paper can create a sense of relief, almost like setting down a heavy bag you did not realize you were carrying. Over time, looking back at old journal entries can also show you how far you have come, how much you have grown, and how many of your past worries eventually resolve themselves in ways you could not have predicted. Movement can help too. Sometimes when we are stuck waiting on something emotional, moving our physical body helps shift our mental state. A walk outside, a workout, dancing around your living room, anything that gets your body moving can help release built-up tension and bring a little lightness back into your day. You do not need to make it complicated. Even 10 minutes of movement can shift your mood in a noticeable way. I also want to mention gratitude, because gratitude has a quiet way of changing how waiting feels. Instead of only focusing on what has not arrived yet, try spending a few minutes each day thinking about what is already good in your life right now. Maybe it is a supportive friend, a job you enjoy, your health, a cozy home, or simply a beautiful sunset you noticed on your way somewhere. Gratitude does not mean pretending you do not want more. It simply means recognizing the good that already exists alongside the good that is still coming. This balance helps prevent waiting from turning into constant longing, and instead turns it into a season of appreciation mixed with hope. Something else worth remembering is that healthy relationships are built on both people bringing their full selves to the table, not on one person completing the other. You are already whole right now, even without this connection fully present in your life. This person, when they arrive, will not complete you, they will complement you. There is an important difference between those two words. Completion suggests you are missing something without them. Complementing means two whole people choosing to build something beautiful together, each adding to the other's life rather than filling in some kind of missing piece. Try to spend some of this waiting season getting to know yourself even more deeply. What brings you real joy? What you value most in life? What kind of future you want to build for yourself? The clearer you become about these things, the more prepared you will be to recognize this connection when it arrives, and the more prepared you will be to build a relationship that truly reflects who you are, rather than one built around trying to please someone else at the expense of your own needs. As we bring this message to a close, I want you to carry one final thought with you. Everything that feels uncertain right now will eventually make sense. Every quiet, waiting moment is part of a story that is still being written, one page at a time, one day at a time. You do not need to have all the answers today. You simply need to keep showing up, keep growing, keep believing, and keep your heart gently open to what is coming. The love that is meant for you has not forgotten you. It is finding its way to you step by step in its own time. And when it finally arrives, you will look back on this season, not with frustration, but with gratitude, understanding exactly why every part of the wait mattered. Dear beautiful soul, This angel's message for you channel is a sacred spiritual home, created for faith, healing, and divine guidance. A place where hearts awaken and lives are gently transformed through divine messages. We warmly invite you to subscribe and stay connected, because the divine is always preparing something greater for your journey, something you are meant to receive in divine timing. If you feel moved to support this mission, you can sow your seed here for your soulmate blessings and divine love fulfillment. Your contribution is not just support. It is an energetic agreement with love, healing, and divine alignment in your own life. When you give with intention, it opens doors. Love flows more freely, happiness expands, and abundance multiplies in unexpected ways. Many believe that giving in faith activates a return of peace, joy, and emotional fulfillment in relationships and life. Whether it is $11, $22, $33, or $55, your generosity helps us continue spreading these divine messages of hope, healing, and soulmate guidance across the world. Every seed sown into this mission helps hearts heal, faith return, and souls reconnect with love. This is more than a channel. It is a movement of light, unity, and divine timing. Your support allows this sacred work to grow, touching lives that are searching for answers, comfort, and spiritual direction. We are all connected in this journey, and together we rise as one community under divine love. Let us open our hearts to the abundance that is already on its way. Amen.